Imagine this. A father forces his own child, his son, to become his partner in murder.
And not just one murder. We're talking about a multi-state crime spree, robbery, horrific sexual assaults, and cold-blooded killings.
It's almost unbelievable, but this is the documented story of Joseph Kallinger, the shoemaker killer.
Yeah, a man whose capacity for cruelty extended from strangers right into the heart of his own family. It's chilling stuff.
And the motive he claimed, it wasn't money, not really, or revenge. He said God commanded him.
That's right, commanded him to kill 3 million people. And he claimed he was getting instructions, constant guidance from a hallucination.
A hallucination he called Charlie.
Yes, and get this, Charlie was supposedly a disembodied, severed head that talked to him.
Just, oh, wow. So Joseph Kallinger, born Joseph Lee Brenner III back in 1935, he seemed ordinary, right? A Philadelphia cobbler.
Exactly. On the surface, just a regular guy fixing shoes, but underneath, between July 1974 and January 75, he was responsible for 3 murders.
Including his own son, his own 13-year-old son.
Yes. And the torture of 4 families across Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, turning their homes into, well, nightmares.
What's so wild is how it all unraveled. All that supposed madness, the divine commands, brought down by something so mundane.
A piece of evidence left behind, a shirt.
A blood-stained shirt dropped at a crime scene in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And it smelled strongly of, what, shoe polish? Glue?
Yeah, the tools of his trade. And it had a laundry mark, just 3 letters, K-A-L, that led police straight back to his little shoe repair shop.
His disguise and his downfall, all tied up in his job.
So this is our deep dive. We're looking at the documented facts here. How a kid who suffered horrific abuse himself grew up to become, well, a paranoid schizophrenic killer by many accounts.
And we really need to look at how the system failed, don't we? The mental health system, child welfare back in the 70s, failures that let him walk free, and worse, pull his own son into it.
Absolutely. It's a crucial part of the story.
Okay, before we really get into the darkness here, the making of this monster, just a quick reminder for you listening. Please subscribe to Whispers of Crime on YouTube.
And you can follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, basically everywhere you get your podcasts.
Yeah, and if you find this stuff interesting or, important, give us a like, leave a comment, check out our older episodes too. Okay, let's get into Kallinger's early life. It's rough.
It really is. To understand the man, you have to start with the child. Joseph Lee Brenner III, born December 11th, 1935.
And he didn't stay with his birth parents long.
No. Into foster care by age 1. Then adopted at 2 by Stephen and Anna Kallinger, Austrian immigrants in Philly. But this wasn't a rescue. It was trading one kind of instability for systematic trauma.
You used the word systematic. The abuse wasn't just occasional anger, was it?
No, it was relentless. Both adoptive parents. We're talking about punishments designed to utterly break a child's spirit and body. It wasn't just spanking.
The records mention kneeling on jagged rocks, sandpaper.
For hours, whipped with belts, thick leather straps until he bled, locked in dark closets for long periods, starvation. If he stole food or money, often just trying to buy friendship, the punishment was severe.
And burns, too.
Yeah, fingers held against a hot stove burned with irons. And then there's the hammer incident.
Right, I read about that. His mother hit him with a hammer.
4 times. In the head. He was 8 years old. Caused a serious head injury. It's just brutal.
And the psychological stuff was just as bad, linking pain and humiliation to sexuality.
Oh, absolutely crucial. When he was only 6, he had a hernia operation. Afterwards, his parents told him this incredibly cruel lie.
What did they say?
They told him the doctor had fixed him. Their words. So his penis, his bird, as they called it, would stay small and, quote, not work.
My God, that's deliberate psychological castration.
It instilled this lifelong, crippling fear of mutilation. You see it echo in his later crimes, tragically.
And then the abuse came from outside the home, too.
Yes. At age 9, older neighborhood boys sexually assaulted him at knife point. Forced oral sex. So you have this horrific mix. Abuse and humiliation at home, sexual violence outside. It cemented this toxic link between sex, power, and violence in his mind.
Which led to compulsions.
Very early on, he became obsessed with knives. By age 13, he apparently needed to hold a knife to even get aroused, often masturbating while cutting up pictures of naked people.
And that escalated.
It did. It moved from pictures to reality. Around the same age, 13, he started abducting younger boys. At knife point.
And reenacting his own trauma.
Exactly, forcing them to strip. In one instance, the records show he bit a boy's penis. It's like he was compelled to inflict the same fear and violation he'd experienced. It's a terrifying cycle.
But somehow, through all this inner turmoil, he was functioning. He dropped out of school, worked in his father's shoe shop.
Yeah, he dropped out around 8th or ninth grade. His IQ was later tested at 84, so, below average but functional. He learned the cobbler trade. He was out there interacting with the world while this storm was brewing inside.
And he learned calculation early on, too, didn't he?
Yeah.
The arson.
Yes, that started way before the murders. Beginning in 1958, setting fire to his own properties. It wasn't just random pyromania, it was for the insurance money.
How many times?
At least 4 documented times between 58 and 67, 1958, twice in 63, 65, 67, and he collected payouts.
Significant amounts.
Yeah, like $1,600, then $15,000, $11,000. Substantial sums back then. This showed planning, awareness of consequences, risk versus reward. It wasn't just impulsive madness, it was fraud.
And nobody connected the dots. A pattern of fires over almost a decade.
Apparently not. A huge missed opportunity, a massive red flag waved right in front of the authorities.
And then the cycle repeated. He had his own kids, 7 of them, and he did the same things to them.
The exact same brutal punishments he endured, the same methods. It came to a head legally in 1972. Child abuse charges were filed.
What were the specifics?
His daughter, Mary Jo, ran away. When she came back, he branded her thigh with a hot iron, just like his parents had burned him. And his sons, including Joey Jr. and Michael, the ones who become central, later they reported being tied to a radiator, beaten with hammer handles, leather strips. Doctors confirmed the physical abuse. It was undeniable.
So he was convicted. Finally, some intervention.
He was found guilty, yes, sentenced to probation and mandatory psychiatric care. But here's where the system just collapsed.
What happened?
The conviction was overturned, quashed in February 1973.
Why? How?
Because the children, Joey, Michael, Mary Jo, they suddenly recanted their testimony. They took it all back.
But why would they do that? Coercion. Fear.
Police strongly suspected Kallinger had pressured them, threatened them into lying, but the court accepted the recantations at face value.
So a man convicted of severe child abuse, already showing signs of serious mental illness during evaluations, he just walked.
Yep. Conviction erased. Psychiatric mandate gone. Returned to the very children he was documented as torturing. The system had him, had the evidence, and let him go.
And the consequences of that failure were deadly.
Absolutely. 3 people would die because of that failure.
Okay, so the abuse charges are dropped. He's back home. When do the delusions, the voices, really take over?
Well, the seeds were there much earliest. He had this bizarre belief starting way back in 1951.
What was that?
He thought God had chosen him to heal people through their feet, through his shoe repair work.
Heal them through their feet.
Yeah, he called them experiments, claimed he did over 40,000 of them in his shop over the years, trying to understand souls through souls kind of thing. It shows this decades-long immersion in a sort of divine mission, even if it was just about shoes initially.
40,000, that's dedication to a delusion.
It really is. But by mid-1974, after he dodged that conviction, things escalated dramatically. The voices became constant. That's when Charlie, the severed head, really became a prominent figure in his mind.
And God was giving direct orders now.
Personal orders, yes.
Yeah.
And his behavior got incredibly strange. Family members later testified about it.
Like what?
He claimed he was living in a pit, like a 20-foot pit, dug in his cellar. Said he performed rituals there, mixing bodily fluids, believing it gave him power.
Oh,
And he started putting wedges in his own shoes, claiming they helped harmonize his brainwaves so he could communicate better with God and Charlie. Just deeply bizarre actions.
And then came the new command, the terrifying one.
Yes. The voices, God and Charlie, told him his new mission: kill 3 million people, wipe them off the earth to trigger Armageddon.
3 million.
After which, the plan was he'd kill his own family, then himself, and then he would become God. That was the end game in his delusion.
It provided the justification, didn't it? For the violence he seemed compelled towards anyway.
Precisely. And this grand, horrific mission, he decided, needed an assistant.
Which is where his son comes in, Michael.
Michael. On June 26, 1974, Kallinger sits his 13-year-old son down and tells him all about this, the divine orders, the need to kill. And he specifically asks Michael to help him murder young boys and mutilate them.
How did Michael react? The initial report said, with enthusiasm.
Yeah, that's the phrase used, but you have to question that, right, given the context. Later evaluations and just common sense suggest it was pure terror. Michael was quiet, overshadowed, totally controlled by his father's abuse.
He'd seen what happened when his older brother Joey tried to speak out.
Exactly. Joey tried, and the system sent their father right back home. For Michael, going along with it probably felt like the only way to survive. Compliance, born of fear.
And that fear was weaponized almost immediately.
Just 11 days later, July 7, 1974, Kallinger and Michael commit their first murder together.
Jose Collazo, a 10-year-old boy in Philadelphia.
Tortured, mutilated, his genitals were severed and placed inside his body, an act of unbelievable depravity.
And Kallinger later tried to blame the mutilation on Michael.
He did, tried to shift the responsibility, classic manipulation alongside the supposed madness.
But even then, the calculation was still there, the insurance policies.
Right. At the same time, he's planning Armageddon, he's taking out life insurance. July 1974, $69,000 total on several sons, including Joey Jr.
Joey Jr., the son who had previously tried to expose him.
Yes. $69,000 back then is like what, over $380,000 today? It's a significant amount.
And then, just weeks later,
July 28, 1974. Kallinger murders Joey Jr., his own 13-year-old son.
oh,
He later confessed to drowning him at a demolition site.
and the motive? Was it the delusion or the money?
It's murky, isn't it? He claimed Joey had outlived his usefulness, called him a sacrifice demanded by God to prove he could kill one of his own.
But the timing with the insurance.
Exactly. It screams financial motive. And the insurance company thought so too. They refused to pay out. They suspected foul play, even if they couldn't prove it then.
So Joey Jr.'s murder went unsolved initially. Kallinger reported him as a runaway.
Yeah, claimed he was found crushed under rubble later. The police didn't connect it back to Kallinger at the time. He got away with it for years. And that freedom allowed him to escalate.
Which brings us to the multi-state crime spree.
Right. Joey's murder, the insurance denial, maybe the pressure built. Starting November 1974, he and Michael hit the road. Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland. A 6-week reign of terror.
And they had a specific way of operating, didn't they? Very plain.
Chillingly methodical. They didn't force entry usually. They posed as salesmen. Selling Bibles, magazines, door to door, just walked right into suburban homes.
Blending right in.
Until they were inside. Then the gun came out, a chrome-plated .32 and the knife. They overpowered entire families.
It was all robbery or something else.
Both. They definitely stole money, jewelry, over $20,000 in cash, and valuables from one home alone. But the sadism seemed paramount.
Oh, so?
Victims were bound, often with cords. Kallinger cut from lamps or appliances right there in the house, stripped naked, humiliated. He seemed to revel in their fear. The psychological torture was intense.
There was that incident in Pennsylvania.
Susquehanna Township. Invaded a home where women were playing bridge. During the robbery, Kallinger took his knife and slashed one woman's breast.
Not to kill her.
No, it was a warning. A brutal display of power to ensure the others complied, absolutely. He also committed sexual assault, forcing victims into acts at gunpoint.
And Michael was there for all this, forced to participate.
He was the silent accomplice, guarding hostages, sometimes alone while his father rampaged. Kallinger's moods would swing wildly, preaching about God one minute, issuing cold threats the next.
There was that moment where Kallinger left Michael alone with a female victim.
Yeah, told the woman, let the boy do whatever he wants. Horrifying. The fact Michael apparently couldn't perform sexually just underscores the trauma and coercion he was under. He wasn't a willing participant. He was another victim.
This spree culminated in Leonia, New Jersey, January 8, 1975.
The Romaine house. They took 8 people hostage there. Edwina Romaine, her daughters, others. Same pattern. Bound, stripped, terrorized.
And then Maria Fashing showed up.
Just incredibly tragic timing. She was a 21-year-old nurse just stopping by to check on a neighbor. They grabbed her, dragged her to the basement where another hostage, Frank Welby, was tied up.
And Kallinger ordered her to
perform a sexual mutilation on Welby. Specifically to bite off his penis. His delusion and sadistic urges completely intertwined at that point.
But she refused.
She refused. Even facing him, armed and psychotic, Maria Fashing showed incredible bravery. She said no.
And his reaction?
Immediate, horrific violence. He slashed her throat repeatedly, stabbed her.
The other hostages heard her.
They heard her final screams. He's hurting me. I'm drowning. She's asphyxiated on her own blood. Her courage cost her her life, but her defiance ultimately stopped him.
How did it end?
While Kallinger was killing Maria, another hostage, Edwina Romaine, who was injured, managed to slip her bonds. She ran outside screaming for help.
Neighbors called the police.
Exactly. Kallinger and Michael fled, ditching the evidence nearby in Sylvan Park. The gun, the knife, and crucially, that blood-stained shirt.
The shirt that smelled like his shop.
The shoe polish, the glue, the smell was unmistakable. And the laundry tag, KAL.
How did they connect it so fast?
A dry cleaner. Showed him the shirt, he recognized the smell instantly, knew the tag misspelling, linked it straight to Kallinger's shop back in Philly. It was incredibly fast police work, really.
And that was it. Arrested January 17th, 1975.
The reign of terror was over. But even during the arrest, the control over Michael persisted. As they led Michael past his father in the station,
Kallinger threatened him.
"One last time, if you tell them anything, I'll kill you." And Michael, utterly terrified and broken, stayed silent initially, didn't incriminate his father right away.
So the trial, this must have been sensational, the insanity plea.
Oh, absolutely. Kallinger claimed God, and Charlie did it, not him. It set up this huge courtroom battle. 2 states, Pennsylvania and New Jersey, years of legal wrangling.
And conflicting experts, right? Defense versus prosecution.
Exactly. The defense team, led by psychiatrists like Dr. Purr, argued he was textbook paranoid schizophrenic. Legally insane, couldn't tell right from wrong when the crimes happened.
They also brought up the chemicals, toluene from the shoe shop.
Yeah, that was a novel argument then. That chronic exposure to toxic fumes caused brain damage, made his schizophrenia worse. His wife even testified about his headaches, dizziness, hearing voices after work. They painted a picture of a man lost in delusion.
But the prosecution wasn't buying it.
Not at all. They argued he was faking, or at least exaggerating, the insanity, a calculated killer using mental illness as a shield. Their experts diagnosed him more with antisocial personality disorder.
Pointing to the planning, the escapes, the insurance.
Right. Scouting houses, the salesman disguise, covering tracks, the financial motives. These weren't the actions of someone totally detached from reality, they argued. This showed awareness, calculation, manipulation.
And Kallinger himself, his behavior in court.
He put on quite a show. Moaning, babbling, shaking, ticking, struggling with guards, trying desperately to look like a nut job, as the prosecution put it.
A performance.
The prosecution certainly framed it that way. Forensic psychiatrist Larry McClure called it theatrical, designed purely to sway the jury towards institutionalization instead of prison, or worse.
So the jury had to decide, was he truly lost in psychosis, or was he aware enough to be responsible?
That was the core question. And despite the bizarre behavior, despite the genuine evidence of mental illness, the juries in both states concluded he knew right from wrong.
What were the verdicts?
In Pennsylvania, for the robberies and assaults, the jury came back incredibly fast, less than an hour. Guilty. Sentenced to 30 to 80 years.
And New Jersey, for Maria Fashing's murder.
Guilty again.
Mm-hmm.
October 1976, life imprisonment to be served after the Pennsylvania sentence. And later, he was finally tried and convicted for killing Jose Collazo and Joey Jr. 2 more consecutive life sentences. He was never getting out.
A judge called him utterly vile and depraved.
Sums it up, doesn't it?
What about Michael?
The court recognized the extreme coercion, ruled he was under his father's control. He went to a reformatory until he turned 21.
And after that?
He was released, changed his name, and just disappeared. Vanished into anonymity, which was probably the only way he could hope to rebuild any kind of life after that hell.
The story doesn't quite end there, though, does it? The book. The Shoemaker.
Right. Flora Rita Schreiber, famous for writing Sybil, got extensive access to Kallinger in prison, interviewed him for years, from 76 to 88.
And Kallinger cooperated. Why?
He thought the book would help him. He hoped it would detail his psychosis, maybe bolster his insanity appeals, make people see him as sick, not evil.
But it backfired.
Massively. In those interviews, trying to explain his mission, he gave Schreiber incredibly detailed confessions about drowning Joey Jr. and mutilating Jose Collazo, murders that were still officially unsolved.
And authorities used those confessions.
They did. The book he hoped would free him actually helped convict him of those murders years later. The irony is just staggering.
And the victims sued over the book.
Yes, under Son of Sam laws, trying to stop Kallinger and the publisher Simon & Schuster from profiting from the crimes. They wanted the royalties.
How did that turn out?
It became a big legal fight about free speech versus victims' rights. The New Jersey Supreme Court ruled in 1988, mostly against the victims on the privacy claims.
Why?
Their reasoning was complex, but essentially, because the gruesome details of the crimes had already come out in open court, in public trials, they were considered public domain and newsworthy. The court said the First Amendment protected publishing those facts, even if obtained from the killer himself.
Even though it re-traumatized the victims.
They acknowledged the harm, But the legal precedent favored publication of public record information. It highlighted a really difficult tension in true crime reporting that still exists today.
So Kallinger is locked up for life, multiple life sentences. Did things quiet down for him then?
Not really. Inside prison, the chaos just turned inwards and occasionally outwards against others. His violence and self-destruction didn't stop.
He set his cell on fire.
March 1977, and tried suicide multiple times, including that bizarre incident where he tried to, quote, fry an egg on his head using lighter fluid. The delusions were still raging.
He was still dangerous then, even locked up.
Very. He assaulted fellow inmates. In 1978, at Fairview State Hospital for the Criminally Insane, he slashed another inmate's throat in a completely unprovoked attack. Luckily, the victim survived.
So he was constantly being transferred between prisons, mental hospitals.
Yeah, Trenton, Fairview. They moved him around trying to manage him. He kept talking to Charlie, kept insisting he was destined to replace God.
That interview with Geraldo Rivera. Chilling.
When Rivera said he hoped Kallinger never got out, and Kallinger just calmly agreed, I hope I never do either. It's like some part of him knew the monster was real and couldn't be contained.
And this led to the hunger strike in 1990.
Right. Back at Fairview, he suddenly started refusing all food and medical treatment for a painful abscess. Said he'd seen Christ in a toilet bowl and wanted to meet his maker.
And he argued he had the right to refuse treatment, even if it killed him.
Exactly. As a competent adult, even a convicted one, he claimed a constitutional right to die by refusing care. This forced the state of Pennsylvania into court.
Contempt of Public Welfare v. Kallinger.
Became a landmark case. The state filed an emergency request to force-feed him using a nasogastric tube.
What was the state's argument?
They argued their interests: prison security, preventing suicide, maintaining order. The ethics of the medical staff outweighed Kallinger's right to refuse treatment as a prisoner. They worried about copycat suicides, staff morale collapsing if they just let him die.
The court agreed.
They did. Ruled that the state's interests were paramount in this situation. They ordered Fairview to keep force-feeding him. He was denied even the control over his own death.
Forced to live.
Kept alive against his will by the system he claimed to be destined to destroy. He spent the rest of his life, the next 11 years, on suicide watch, constantly monitored.
Until his death in 1996.
March 26, 1996. Died age 59. Official cause was a seizure or heart failure. Some reports say he choked in the prison infirmary.
What a legacy.
Yeah.
Trauma, delusion, manipulation, and the system's failure to stop it sooner.
It really laid bare the dangers lurking beneath seemingly normal surfaces in the 70s, didn't it? And the desperate need for better mental health care and child protection.
The big question still lingers, though, doesn't it? Was he purely psychotic, driven by voices only he could hear?
Or was he a cunning manipulator using genuine illness as a convenient excuse for calculated cruelty? Arson for cash, murder for insurance. Those things seem so planned.
Yet the delusions, Shirley, the pit and the cellar, that seems undeniably real in its own way.
The fact that both seem to exist side by side in him is what makes this case so uniquely disturbing, I think. The coexistence of madness and malice.
And we can't forget Michael, the ultimate victim in many ways.
The son forced into that nightmare who managed to escape into anonymity afterwards. His silence, his disappearance speaks volumes about the depth of the trauma. Kallinger destroyed his own family as surely as he destroyed others.
Is there any recent news or analysis? Does this case still echo?
It does. Analysis continues, especially around the legal aspects raised by the Shoemaker book, Victims' Rights, Son of Sam Laws, Media Ethics. And psychologically, Kallinger remains a complex case study of trauma, schizophrenia, and personality disorder. It's a story that, unfortunately, retains its power to shock and inform.
A truly dark chapter.
One that serves as a stark reminder.
Okay, that brings us to the end of this deep dive, a really tough one. Remember, don't miss out on our other stories. Subscribe to Whispers of Crime on YouTube.
And follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, wherever you listen.
Let us know what you think in the comments. What other cases creep you out? What should we cover next? Hit that notification bell so you get notified. And definitely check out our back catalog if you haven't already.
Lots more chilling tales there.
We'll leave you with this thought. Kallinger claimed he was going to become God, but he also seemed relieved at the idea of never leaving prison. When you think about the sheer destructive force he represented, maybe the scariest question isn't just about his sanity, but about how much calculated evil can hide behind the mask of madness and how close it can get before we see it.